Love, the most beautiful lie ever told, the most dangerous illusion ever designed. It wears the mask of eternity, but behind that mask is the quiet machinery of survival, ancient, silent, and merciless. We speak of love as if it were sacred, as if it existed to give our lives meaning. But love was never created for meaning. It was created for continuation. It is not a miracle, it is a mechanism, a chemical conspiracy woven into our blood by nature itself. Nature does not care about your happiness. It does not care about your heartbreak, your dreams, or your idea of a soulmate. Nature's only command is multiply, and to ensure obedience, it gave us love, a feeling so intoxicating that we would surrender our freedom just to feel it again. When you fall in love, your brain becomes a laboratory of chemicals. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, little sparks of pleasure, convincing you that you have found the one. But you have not found a soulmate. You have found nature's favorite trick, a temporary madness that blinds logic long enough to ensure connection, reproduction, and dependency. You call it passion. You call it destiny. Nature calls it survival. Love is not the poetry of the soul, it is the programming of the species. It manipulates your instincts with precision, making you crave what ensures life's continuation, not your peace. And yet, we romanticize it. We call it divine, eternal, pure. But what is purity when it is born from desperation? What is eternity when the feeling fades the moment the brain chemicals settle? Because they do fade. Always. And when they do, the world you built on that illusion begins to crumble. The person you once saw as salvation now feels ordinary, flawed, distant. The warmth turns to silence. The magic turns to memory. And in that silence, you realize something cruel. You were never in love with them. You were in love with the way they made you forget yourself. Love, at its core, is an escape from the emptiness that stares back at you when you are alone. It promises to fill that void, but it cannot, because the void was never meant to be filled by another person. We fall in love with the reflection of our own longing. We see in them what we wish to see in ourselves: strength, beauty, validation, peace. But that reflection is fragile. The moment they fail to mirror our ideal, the illusion cracks and reality seeps in. That is when love turns into suffering, because what dies is not the person, it is the fantasy we created of them, and still we call it love. We call it the reason to live, the purpose of existence. But what if it is not? What if love is just the softest form of manipulation? A way for nature to convince us that pain is worth enduring, as long as it leads to more life. Think about it. Every emotion you feel in love, joy, jealousy, fear, desire, is designed to keep you hooked. You obsess over them, you long for them, you suffer for them, and through that suffering, nature wins. It keeps you attached, committed, controlled. Love is not freedom. It is the illusion of freedom wrapped in the chains of desire. It blinds you to reality with promises of completion, only to leave you emptier than before. But perhaps that is its genius. Because no matter how many times love breaks you, you still crawl back to it. You tell yourself it will be different next time. You convince yourself it is real. That is how powerful the trick is. You are not chasing love. You are chasing the memory of the high, that first rush, that perfect moment when you felt infinite. It was never about the person. It was about the feeling, and feelings, like flames, always burn out. Yet we keep feeding the fire, even when it destroys us. Because the pain of love feels better than the emptiness of its absence. That is nature's cruelest victory. It makes suffering feel meaningful. Love does not begin as truth. It begins as intoxication. At first, it feels divine. Two souls orbiting the same gravity, pulled together by something ancient and uncontrollable. You tell yourself this must be destiny, that it must mean something profound. But what you are really feeling is chemistry. A flood of ancient signals passed down from the first creatures that crawled out of the sea. Love is a drug, and like any drug, it creates dependence. The more you taste it, the more you crave it. You start living for the next message, the next glance, the next touch. You build your days around them. Your moods rise and fall with their attention. Without realizing it, your identity begins to orbit theirs. It feels romantic, but it is not love. It is addiction disguised as devotion. And nature designed it perfectly. Because the moment you are addicted to another person, you become predictable. You bond. You attach. You obey the rules of survival without knowing you are obeying them. That is why heartbreak feels like withdrawal. When the connection breaks, your body collapses. Your mind spins in chaos. The same brain regions that light up during addiction now burn with emptiness. You think you are dying of love, but you are dying of detox. Your body is screaming for the chemical it has lost. And in that void, in that unbearable silence, you begin to see the truth. That love was never as pure as you imagined. It was nature's manipulation, turning your loneliness into loyalty, your desire into dependency. But here is the cruel genius of it. You would rather suffer through heartbreak than face the emptiness of indifference. You would rather ache for love's return than accept the void inside you. Because at least heartbreak makes you feel alive. At least pain gives you a pulse. Love's power does not lie in its joy. It lies in its ability to make pain feel sacred. That is why so many mistake suffering for meaning. They think the depth of their pain proves the depth of their love. But pain does not always mean truth. Sometimes it only means attachment. And yet, we cling to it. We glorify it. We call it passion. Because to let go of love's illusion feels like letting go of life itself. We fear the silence that comes after the story ends. We fear seeing ourselves without the reflection of another person to define us. But the silence is where truth begins. When the noise of attachment fades, when the person you loved becomes a memory instead of a mirror, that is when you finally see what love was hiding all along yourself. The heartbreak was never punishment. It was revelation. It tore down the fantasy so you could see what you had projected. Because in love, we do not see people as they are. We see them as we need them to be. We turn them into saviors, symbols, and solutions to our own emptiness. We call them the One, when in reality they are the canvas upon which our loneliness paints its masterpiece. And when that canvas burns, you are forced to face what you have ignored, the quiet, unsettling truth that love was never about finding someone else. It was about learning who you become when you lose them. Most people do not survive that lesson. They rush to replace the person, to find another distraction, another chemical rush. But those who face the silence, those who endure it, they begin to change. They stop seeing love as salvation and start seeing it as reflection. They understand that love does not give meaning. It reveals the meaning you already carry within. And in that realization, something powerful happens. You begin to detach, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You stop chasing the illusion that someone can complete you, because you finally understand that love is not about completion. It is about connection, and connection, without awareness, is just another form of control. When you love unconsciously, you are a puppet of nature. When you love consciously, you become free of it. When you finally see love for what it truly is, something inside you changes forever. You stop chasing the rush, the validation, the fantasy. You stop mistaking chemistry for destiny. You begin to see that every moment of obsession, every heartbreak, every betrayal was part of a design, not to destroy you, but to wake you. Love was never meant to save you. It was meant to expose you. It peels away the layers you hide behind: pride, control, fear, until you are left naked with the truth of who you are. It breaks you open, not to punish you, but to show you what you have been avoiding yourself. That is the quiet liberation of seeing the trick. When you stop believing that love will complete you, you start learning how to complete yourself. You stop begging for attention and begin giving yourself the things you once demanded from others: validation, care, peace, respect. And when you do, love loses its power to manipulate you. You can still love, but it will be different now: cleaner, calmer, stronger. You will no longer confuse possession with connection. You will no longer cling out of fear. You will no longer chase ghosts of what could be. You will love, not because you are empty, but because you are full. You will give without expecting to be healed. You will care without needing to control. You will touch another soul without losing your own in the process. This is what it means to love consciously: to see through the illusion and still choose to feel. To play the game, but with open eyes. To taste the fire, but not burn in it. To know that the high will fade, but to cherish the warmth while it lasts. Because love is not evil. Only unconscious love is. When you cling to it blindly, it becomes a prison. When you see it clearly, it becomes a teacher. Love teaches you impermanence, that nothing you hold will last, and that is why it is beautiful. It teaches you humility, that no matter how deeply you feel, the world continues without you. It teaches you strength, that you can survive without the illusion of being completed. When you accept that love is nature's trick, you do not become cynical, you become awake. You no longer resist the truth of life's impermanence. You begin to dance with it. You let love come and go, knowing that each experience is just another mirror showing you who you are becoming. You begin to realize something extraordinary. The purpose of love was never to bind you to another. It was to bring you back to yourself. Every heartbreak, every obsession, every sleepless night was leading you to this. To the point where you can finally stand alone without collapsing. That is when the illusion loses its grip. You are no longer a slave to emotion, but a witness to it. You can feel deeply without being destroyed by feeling. You can love fiercely without losing your balance. This is the truth most people never reach, because they are too afraid to look behind the mask. But once you do, once you see love as nature's trick, it becomes something even greater: a choice. You can play the game, knowing the rules. You can feel the chemistry, knowing its cause. You can fall in love, but now you will fall with your eyes open. And in that awareness, there is freedom, because you will finally understand love was never your master. It was your mirror. It reflected your hunger, your fear, your hope, and your strength, until you learn to find all those things within yourself. So do not curse love for being a trick. Without it, you might never have woken up. Without the illusion, you might never have searched for truth. Without the pain, you might never have discovered your own depth, and that is nature's greatest irony. It deceives you so that you can awaken. It breaks you so that you can rebuild yourself stronger. It gives you illusion so that you may earn reality. Because in the end, love's cruelest trick is also its greatest gift. It makes you human. It teaches you to feel, to lose, to rise. It turns survival into meaning, and meaning into awareness. So perhaps love is nature's trick. But awareness is how you outsmart nature. To love consciously is to hold the illusion in your hands, smile at it, and say, I see you. I know what you are. But I choose to love anyway. That is not weakness. That is power. The kind of power that cannot be taken away, because it no longer depends on anyone else. And when you reach that point, when you can love without need, when you can walk away without collapse, you will understand something sacred. Love never truly dies. It simply evolves as you do, from desire to awareness, from illusion to truth, from bondage to freedom. And in that freedom, you will finally find the one you were always searching for. Not someone else, but yourself. Love is not the answer. Love is the mirror. Awareness is what finally sets you free. If this made you think deeply, make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe for more.